Hey y'all, I'm back with a little bit of a different DIY. I'm going to show you guys how I created planner stickers on Pic Monkey, and I'm going to show you how I print and cut those. So first I'm going to go to my browser and I'm just going to click picmonkey.com. If you haven't heard of it, it's a way to edit photos and create designs and templates and things like that. So it's a really cool website. It is loading my templates right now, which this is a little bit of a new feature. I can simply click on like the size that I want, or I can just go over to print size and click 8.5 by 11 because that is what I'm going to be printing on. So I just chose 8.5 by 11. It's going to pop up, it's going to load and pop up with this blue thing on top. You'll just want to click and hit your delete button. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to this butterfly. The butterfly, that stands for overlays. And I'm just going to kind of play around with some of the overlays that they have. There's a whole load of them. They have soccer balls. They have sports in general. They have geometric shapes. They have hearts. They have baby related stuff, Valentine's related stuff, like you name it, they have it. And the only thing I would change is, a lot of the color schemes and things I don't really like, but you can change that over in your color bar. And so you'll see there that I have the option to change the color of this basketball, but I'm not going to. I'm actually going to just leave it as is. And then I'll show you guys how I change colors of some other things. So here I'm just kind of playing around in the great outdoors category. And what I've done is I've just added 4 different basketballs. I've just copied and pasted or added duplicates of each. And then I know that I want several basketballs because I want several basketball stickers because I use them each week. Here I'm just kind of browsing around in this backyard cookout section. I think that's what it's called. And I am simply going to make those smaller because I don't want to have huge planner stickers. And I'm just going to kind of click on some random things. Maybe I can use these to notate that I'm having dinner with family or that we're having a cookout or that we are having an after school snack, and not so much that we're going to do those things, but I think I'm trying to show you guys that there's a variety of things you can use these planner stickers for. And so here's an example or an example, can I talk today? Here's an example of an owl, and I just clicked on it and I didn't like the colors of it, so I just changed it. Same thing with this number 2. You'll see in that baby section, it's got a lot of yellows and greens and purples, and I'm not really digging that, and so I just decided to go ahead and change some of those colors just for the sake of the video to show you guys. So now I'm going to show you a geometric shape, and I'm just going to go ahead and go over to this color bar. Some things are going to have the option of, I think, hovering your mouse, well, I don't want to say hovering your mouse over a big, large thing of colors, like where it's more gradient looking, and then some are going to have the options of boxes of colors. And so you'll see as I go, there's going to be different options for different things. So what I've done is I've simply just chosen a blue color for this shape, and then I'm going to actually add another one. And I was having trouble because it kept wanting to copy the basketball when I was doing copy and paste on my keyboard, and for some reason it wasn't wanting me to, so I just went ahead and did duplicate overlay. It wasn't wanting me to copy that one for some reason, and sometimes it does that. You just have to kind of play around with it and make sure that you're clicking off the object and clicking onto the side of it so that you can paste it. Okay, so now I've just chosen a rounded square, and I am going to choose a pink color for that. And again, I chose colors from the little section where you can choose a bunch of different colors from the boxes. And I've chosen a pink color, and I'm trying to duplicate this. Again, I'm having issues with that. I think I do get it at some point, but for some reason, there it goes. But for some reason, it was not wanting to let me use my keyboard for that, and I don't know why. Maybe one of you know. So I'm just adjusting these, moving these around, and I kind of get like, I'm not type A, and I don't really have like, I'm not the neatest, most organized person, but for some reason it was bothering me that those shapes weren't like clustered together, and so I did rearrange those. And here's a heart. It's just a simple example. You can choose a heart and then choose an outline color or choose an inside color. You do not have to have an outline color. You can just have, on the side there's color 1 and color 2. And anytime something is selected, it's going to have those little circles around it. And I'll show you an example of that here in a little bit. I'll show you an example of when something's not selected, I guess. Here's a Starburst Circle, and I love this shape. It's like I've looked for a punch in this shape for I don't know how long, and never could find one, but I found a whole load of dies that are different sizes of these Starburst or pink circles, however you want to say it. I'm just changing that color to purple. You have to make sure it's selected before you change the color. If it's not selected, it's just you're gonna change the color and nothing's gonna happen, or you're gonna think you're changing the color. So here's an example of there's the box with all the colors like of the rainbow, and then there's or the rectangular box, and then there's certain shapes where I guess if it has an outline, I'm not really sure why some you have the option of choosing the colors from the little boxes or the little squares, and some you have this gradient rainbow rectangular color chooser thing. So I don't know, but I just, whatever, I take what I get and I just kind of go with it. I don't really worry too much because you still get a lot of color options. So here I'm switching to, I was kind of looking at the grays, but I really, really love this darker pink color, or not darker, lighter pink color. And so it's actually darker than the pink above. That's probably why I said that. But I've decided that I need some variation in these colors, and I also need to add some sort of blue, because I can tell that I'm doing my pinks and my light blues and my purples and all that kind of stuff, and sometimes I forget to try other colors. And with your planner, or with my planner, personally for me, I want to be able to change it up and change the color scheme up so that I'm not doing the same thing every week. So now I'm just kind of looking around and browsing and showing you guys that you can really do anything that you want on this. You can change, some of them are like actual images where they're almost like photographs, and I'm not really fond of that, but some of them are like here's a banner shape. I'm just going to choose that top one, and I'm going to make 2 of those, and I'm going to make them mint green. And so I think that would be really fun. You can leave them blank for your planner. And then you can write right on top of them. And one great thing about the planner sticker paper, which is matte, or using cardstock if you want, but one great thing about that is you can write right on top of it with your different pens that you use, and any pen should really work. So now I'm just playing around, and I don't know why that turned pink. I clicked on something I wasn't supposed to. And I'm just kind of showing you guys that there's different options. That I clicked on the little Valentine's, that little heart down there instead of the butterfly, and that really just kind of shows you what's in season. So like for Christmas, I think there's a Christmas tree, and for Thanksgiving, I'm sure there was something else. So I'm just kind of showing you. Now I'm back on the butterfly to the left there. And the other options that are above and below the butterfly are different I would say editing techniques. And so you can really use those for your photos, or you can use them for design purposes, kind of like I am, like cropping and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. But now I'm going to be adding text to my objects or my icons, and I'm simply adding text there at the top and then clicking on the text that I want, and you'll see those first several are the ones that I'm going to mainly use because those are my most recent ones that I've used. If you'll see there below, it says text, it says text, and then it says add text, and then below that it says ours and yours. So ours is obviously Pic Monkey's fonts, and yours are the ones that obviously are on my computer. And so any fonts that I've downloaded recently, they're on there. And that's what I really love about this program, is that it loads the fonts that I seriously downloaded like a couple weeks ago. And that day I was able, within a minute, I was able to use them because it was part of my computer. So it was part of my font list there. So now I'm just kind of playing around with the colors. You got to always make sure that it's selected. Like I said, it has those round circles around the box. That's how you know an object is selected. One thing I want to make note of, though, is if you so work and to do are 2 separate fonts and 2 separate pieces, essentially. And so if you want to try to click on one of those and you're having a hard time, because they're close together and you're having a hard time getting one selected, you can go to your layers tool, and I'm going to show you how you do that in just a second. But first, I'm going to add game day to this top little shape, and then I'm going to probably leave it as black. I'm not really sure, but I noticed I was having a hard time selecting one because they kind of overlap, and then I somehow deleted it and whatnot. So now I'm going to go to my layers palette and I'm hovering over it now. And I just click on it and you'll see here it has a list of everything you've done or everything I've done. And so there's my basketballs. That was the first thing I did there at the bottom. And then my hamburger, my hot dog, all of that, all the way up into the font. Everything's a different piece. So everything you've added is separate. If you click on each one of those, it selects it. So you'll see I'm selecting to do. And then you go down and even if you've duplicated the layers, they're still separate pieces. And that's what's really cool. So if you're having a hard time, like to do is layered on top of that speech bubble. So if you're having a hard time clicking on the speech bubble, then you can go back to your layers palette, find that speech bubble, and then you can, it'll be selected. You can change the color and whatnot. So here I found this really cute font. It's called KG and I Love You, I think. And it's heart, and they're hearts, and I'm in love. And so basically I'm kind of making my own little weekend banner. And then I'm going to make just something that says the zoo. Now, we're not planning on necessarily going to the zoo anytime soon. I just want to show you guys some different things you can do. And then here, I'm just going to simply type out weekend. And you'll notice that this font is not interlocking. And so I'm going to show you a way that you can make it be all one piece. And just stay tuned for that. So here is also another example. I want these two, I want Ava and Jim to be right on top of each other. And I want it to be all one piece whenever I print and cut it. And so I'm going to show you how I do that as well. So I'm going to change the color of that, but you'll notice that when those circles are not around that, you can't change the color. I'm showing you that now. But if you click kind of off of it and you see that that's selected, now you can change the color. So just remember that. I had lots of trouble with that at the beginning. And I was like, why isn't it changing the color? But then I realized it was not selected. And anytime you have trouble with it being selected, you can always go to the layers tool. But because these are all separate icons and for the most part, and they're kind of spaced out pretty well, I don't think I'm going to have any trouble with that. Unless something's right on top of each other, like maybe Game Day or those other ones that are layered. So I am just kind of scrolling through some of those other fonts. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up so that I can show you how you load it into the silhouette, how you print it on sticker paper, and all of that good stuff. So definitely stay tuned for that. I'm going to kind of speed up this portion of the video so that I can finish up, because you guys get obviously the point of me adding text, but I did want to show you this just in case you guys had questions about that. Okay, so now it's all done, and I'm just going to click there at the top, Add to Hub. It's one of the options, one of the saving options, and that's so you can go back in and edit all your layers in your document in Pic Monkey. If you just save it as a JPEG or a PNG on your desktop or in a folder on your desktop, then you're not going to be able to go back and edit all those different layers. So just make sure you save it on your desktop as a PNG, because we are going to be using it in the silhouette. And then you also save it to your hub so you can go back if you want to edit it or change anything up. I'm just loading my silhouette right now. Like I said, I did save this as a PNG, but you're more than welcome to save it like as some other sort of document. If you just want to fussy cut things, you don't necessarily have to have it as a PNG, but I do want it as a PNG for this project. I've got my silhouette matte as a 12 by 12, but I also have my page settings to 8.5 by 11 because the document is an 8.5 by 11, obviously. So I'm just going to size it down. And then I'm going to go up to the right-hand corner, and there's a spot for registration marks. I'm hovering over it now. You'll want to click on that, and then you'll want to go to Style, and you'll want to click that drop-down box and click Cameo Portrait. And I'm going to adjust it a little bit more to make sure none of my icons are being covered by the netting up at the top. And I also want to make sure my icons are below the registration marks, and that one registration mark at the bottom is below the actual icons. Now I'm going to go to File, Print. I'm very sorry that that top bar is not in the picture. I don't know why it's not. I think it's probably my settings. I didn't have it on widescreen. But I simply went to File, Print, and then I just changed my settings to best quality because I want to make sure that those are in best quality. Now I'm going to go to the tracing feature, and it's just that blue box with the yellow outline. And I'm simply going to highlight everything, and you'll notice that not everything highlighted, and I cannot stand when that happens, but I've found an easy fix. All I do is rotate the entire box. Now that green button is there at the bottom, and you'll see that the majority of things are highlighted, but not everything is highlighted, but at least the majority, at least from top to bottom, for the most part, things are highlighted. So I'm going to just play around with the threshold, and I unchecked the high pass filter, but it kind of depends on what your document looks like and your objects on your document. On mine, I wanted to uncheck the high pass filter and go ahead and move up the threshold. I'm going to play around with the scale because I think that maybe that might fill in some of those gaps and stuff, but I actually didn't like it because it just looked less sharp. I want some of the images, especially that Starburst Circle, to look sharp. So I went back down on the scale and I left the threshold high, and then like I said, I unchecked that high pass filter. And now I'm just going to remove the original document. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, make sure it's clicked and delete it. Now I'm left with my red outlines. Now I apologize that not the bar is shown at the top where it has file and all the options, but just make sure that your objects are all selected because they're all one piece at this point, and I'm going to kind of walk you through what I'm clicking on. You'll want to go to Object and Release Compound Path so that every object on here is a separate icon so that you can work with each one separately. So now I'm going to select both Ava and Jim. And I'm going to go to Make Compound Path. It looks like I'm going to click on Group, but I don't. I'm going to make Compound Path so that it's one object. I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to go to Object, Offset, and now it's opened my offset window. And I click on offset and it gives me kind of a default offset. And now I'm going to change the numbers to 0.05 or 0.05, and it basically made a thinner outline there, and now it's all one piece. My Ava Jim is going to have an outline around it, but you'll notice when I zoom in that there's a little nick mark there, kind of a really small one that I don't want. The other one doesn't really bother me, but that one's just going to make kind of a funny mark with my silhouette. So you'll see that I tried to use my eraser and that did not work. So you'll want to click the whole object, and you'll want to make sure that you release the compound path so you can delete that little nick in between. And I'm going to show you how to do it on this one too. I'm simply holding down my mouse or holding down Shift and clicking on each one of those letters to make it a compound path, which it's all one compound path now, and now I've offset it. The problem is when I remove the middle, which I didn't mention that on the other one, I did remove the middle of Ava Jim so that I'd have the outline. You'll see that not all of those pieces are connected. Well, I don't like that, so I'm going to undo what I just did. I'm going to make sure it's one big group. I'm going to go back up to Object, Group, which I'm not really sure why I did that. I think maybe it was already a group because I don't think I undid that part. But now I'm going to go to Object Offset again, and I'm going to just up the arrow until I see that those pieces are combined. So I see now, okay, great. Now I can delete the inside, the majority of the inside, and it's all one piece. But I have those marks there that I don't want. So it's all one piece, right? So I can't just click on those little marks. So I'm going to click on the whole thing. I'm going to go to Object, Release Compound Path now, and then I can get rid of all those little marks there. So you'll notice when you're doing fonts that are separate that's going to happen. Here's where that little nick mark was there because of my font. Because it's an object, I don't have to release compound. It's one object, so I don't actually have to release compound path or make it a group. I simply have to go to Object Offset, and it's going to make an outline around that. I'm going to show you this on a couple more. I'm going to go to this banner, click on it. I'm already in the offset window. I click on offset, and then I'm going to change the number to 0.75. And I'm showing you the different options because you can really choose the distance around the object that you want. Again, I clicked on that hot dog. I clicked on offset. I'm playing around with those arrows and the distance, and I got it to where I wanted it. I clicked on the hamburger, went to offset, and I am playing around with the arrows, deleting the inside. Make sure you delete the inside or else it's going to cut two lines, and you don't want that. So anytime you see two lines, you need to make sure that, unless that's what you're wanting it to do for some reason, you need to make sure that you're checking that, because where the red lines are is where it's going to cut. I'm deleting the inside. So I'm going to go over here to this pink circle. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click there, click offset, and then I'm going to change it to 0.05, and then I'm going to delete the inside. And that's pretty much going to cover what I want to do, and you'll see how they turn out in just a second. I'm going to go to my cut settings, white sticker paper, and then I'm going to click on that to make sure it's set on 2. And then you'll see how it all turns out. Hey guys, real quick, I just wanted to go over the paper that I'm using. Now, normally I would buy, you'll see here this has 5.5 by 8.5. I would not normally buy that. What I would normally buy is 8.5 by 11, obviously. They didn't have that in the store, so these aren't actually full sheets. These are half sheets, which are fine for the purpose of showing you what I'm doing, and I can still use them as long as I align everything to where with the gap in the middle. So with that being said, this is Avery. They're just matte. This is for inkjet because I do have an inkjet printer, and they're just shipping labels. And if you want the code, there's the code. Okay, so you'll see here that I have the paper and there's that gap there. I just try to be careful with my, like whenever I was going to work on this, and I just decided to kind of align it to where I thought there would be the gap, but it's actually cut off the speech bubble, which I'm not really heartbroken about. So I'm gonna go ahead and align that on the mat, and I'm gonna align it here, and then I'm gonna show you guys how I load it, because I think it's important to show you this because I had trouble with my stuff not cutting when, or registration failing when this was not lining up with the sensor. So I'll show you that now. Okay, so sorry about the shadows, but I do want to show you this real quick. Here is the little, this is one of the most important registration marks. And if you'll see here, there's the cut, there's the blade that you can change. Obviously you can change its setting over here. And I've already changed it to 2. But here is where there's a sensor underneath this, and it reads this mark. So if you have this way over, or if you have it like too far over here and you're just not paying attention how you're putting it in, it won't read it. You have to make sure that when you put it in, that it's pretty aligned, and that looks good. So I'm gonna go ahead and load this in, and I'm gonna go ahead and get these cut so I can show you. Okay, so you'll see here that when you pull this off the mat, the whole sheet comes off, which I think is such a lifesaver, because if you print like little icons like I've been doing, here I'm gonna show you. Oh my gosh, they're all over the place. This is part of the issue. If you print them on cardstock, which is a great alternative if you don't have sticker paper or don't want to like spend the money on it, but look at all the little bits and pieces that are like flying all around. And if you're printing them on sticker paper, they stay in one spot and you can just simply peel them off when you need them. So this is why this is really cool. So some of them I was able to offset it so that it could print, so that it could cut around so that it leaves a white edge, and you can make that edge as big or small as you want. And then some were able to get right up on the edge, which I think is pretty cool. And then, so same with the basketball, there's the white edge on the basketball, and there's no edge there. Here's a white banner, here's part of the banner with a white edge around. Here is this one that, oop, totally just tore that. Here is the one, just be, I guess, careful, because I'm not careful with stuff, but that I printed that I think is really cool, because it was just a regular old font. I did not have to work on interlocking these or overlapping them. All I had to do was offset it and make the offset big enough to where it was, and I showed you that in the tutorial part, but to where it would, each little, because there are pretty big gaps between this, and so you want to make the offset big enough to where they'll link, and so that's all you have to do, and then you just have to take out the middle in silhouette. So that is the regular old font. Here's this Starburst Circle that has the outline. Here's the one, and you'll see that it cut pretty good. Here's the one that does not have, can y'all see this? Yes, I hope. Here's the one that does not have the border, and then so on. So you guys pretty much get the point. Of course, I did a bigger white border around the hamburger, which is so cute. That's perfect for like if you're having a cookout or whatever, and you want to note that in your planner. And then the greatest part about this is, besides the sticker paper and like having the print and cut, you don't necessarily have to have the silhouette. You can just fussy cut these. I mean, if you really want to. I wouldn't want to do that, but if I didn't have a silhouette, I probably would. Some people really like that, and that's great. Here is the other font that I lined up, and this is all attached. This entire thing, and this is just says Ava Gym, so that I can remind myself that Ava has gymnastics. But yeah, so I hope you guys, there I go ripping stuff again. I hope you guys got the gist of how I created these, and it's great because you can do it on Pic Monkey for free. You can get the majority of these icons for free, and you can really change it up to however you'd like, and with the colors, with the font, and whatever. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial, and let me know if you have any questions. I will try my best to get back to you as soon as possible, because I know when I ask questions, I'm like, I hope they answer me really soon, because like, I guess it's that immediate gratification. I don't know. I'm working on that. But anyway, so I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and let me know if you have any questions. Bye.